What is it like to be back on campus? What's it like?
It's crazy. Rome Boulevard was basically just the bookstore and then the Marriott when I was here. So seeing all that's crazy. I wish I had all that stuff, but it's weird to be here right now in the front of the class because I was like right there sleeping in an 8 a.m. documentary class 10 years ago. So, but yeah, it worked out.
Worked out well. What did you do when you were here on campus? What were the things that you were involved in and kind of gained some experience while you're here on campus?
Yeah, I was pretty active in a little bit of everything. I did like doing a lot of my own side projects. I was always interested in rowing TV, but I actually never did rowing TV or any of those clubs. I did rowing hockey for a year before I tore my ACL. And then I just did stuff on my own side projects with my friends. Just had my own camera and just had my own computer, did all my editing and everything. We just made some fun YouTube videos and just random things like that.
So, 10 years have gone by.
Yeah.
10 years. Does it feel like 10 years?
No, it's been a whirlwind since I left campus. I was lucky enough, shortly after graduation, I worked in Manhattan for Major League Baseball. It was 30-hour part-time job, full-time, part-time. But I just kind of knew I really wanted to be in sports and just want to make it. So I'm from Cape May, New Jersey, and I commuted from Cape May, New Jersey to Manhattan every day and just made it work and kind of broke the industry from there.
Wait a minute. You commuted from Cape May.
Yeah.
Everyone know where Cape May is?
Down the shore.
The furthest part you can go in the state of New Jersey to New York City, and you commuted every day.
Every day.
Is that true, Mom?
It is true.
Really?
It was insane.
Now, when I bring up that you need to be all in and committed, that's what I'm talking about. That's all in and that's committed. That's what you have to do if you want to be successful and you want to have some of those. So, did you enjoy it when you did that commute?
I loved it. The commute, I mean, driving in Manhattan's not great, and accidentally getting stuck in traffic or random parades that I didn't know were going on. I accidentally turned into a parade one time and it was a whole mess, or getting a flat right before the tunnel and then having to change my tire when the cars whizzing by right for the tunnel. And it was a little crazy, but the job itself was a lot of fun. It was a great way to break into the industry and make some contacts.
Beautiful, beautiful. So now, if you were here in school now, and there was a sports communication media program like we have now, would you be in our program?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think this is a great asset and resource you guys have. Like, we didn't have anything like this when I was here 10 years ago, and sports is always something I wanted to do. And when I was a RTF major, and we didn't have anything sports, it was all very kind of documentary focused, which is great for storytelling because there's a lot of storytelling in sports, but there's nothing really for the sports side of things and how it's changed and how media is now. It's just like something like this is really resourceful for that.
That's awesome, and we appreciate when alumni come back and talk, and it's really special. So they're the ones that have all the questions, so we're going to get them asking questions. But the first question, Sean, is it your birthday today?
No, it's Aaron's.
Aaron's birthday?
Yep.
Where's Aaron? Aaron Hook? Aaron's not here, so Aaron can't ask the first question. So you wanted Aaron. It's Aaron Hook's birthday today? All right, if I see Aaron walk in, we'll make sure we sing him happy birthday. All right?
Okay.
So for a moment there, I thought it was your birthday. But you do have the first question. Go ahead.
Okay. How did you promote Zion?
How did I promote Zion? And I'm assuming in like a positive light after everything going on lately. I can say personally, Zion's actually an amazing guy. Super easy to like. And that's kind of one of the plus sides you get working in sports. You get to see the human side of the athletes. Sometimes media and random media sources kind of paint a picture of a player that they don't really know that well. And you actually get to work every day with a player, so you really get to know them and make a really good connection with them. Just great guy. Always goes out his way to say, hey, what's up? And for Zion, because of that connection, it's super easy to paint him in a positive light. And unfortunately, didn't make the All-Star game this year. We didn't have any All-Stars this year, unfortunately, but it was still easy enough to show his play on the court and show some of the stuff he was doing in the community. He was actually very active in the community in New Orleans. He hosts he funds a YMCA. He makes sure every kid In the summer, they go to YMCA for a youth club for free. He pays all their fees, all their lunches and everything. He pays everything, and so we show that too, that side of them, not just the basketball side, but the giving side of them.
So you have content production in your title.
Mhm.
So give us a sense of what you do day to day.
Yeah, day to day, I'm in the trenches with all my guys. I manage a team of 2 producer editors, a shooter editor, and a junior shooter editor. We handle all the video content for the team for all social media, website, everything. And I do hands-on for everything. I do all the scripting, all the ideation. We have corporate partnerships, so we have to sponsorship obligations we have to take care of. So I sit in meetings and work with our partners to figure out what content we want to create for that. And then I go travel with the team, travel to away games, film highlights, do the pressers and everything, edit all the content, and then just help distribute it. And then we have a social media team that we work hands-on with, and then the social media team handles all the publishing.
Got a pretty cool job, doesn't he? All right, go ahead, Ryan.
What's that?
Why was New Orleans a big market choice?
So when you work in sports, you kind of just got to go where the opportunities go. I worked with the Carolina Panthers before I was with the Saints and Pelicans. Saints and Pelicans had a position that was higher, more exactly what I wanted to do, leading a team but still being active in content creation, and it was a good opportunity. I actually never went to New Orleans until I actually moved for the job, so I kind of just jumped headfirst into it, and it was a great opportunity, and it's been working out.
Can you explain the Saints and the Pelicans and how that works, that dynamic? You work for both?
Yeah, so I'm in an interesting organization where a lot of teams it's just one team. I was with the New Jersey Devils. It was just the New Jersey Devils. But here with these guys, it's you're hands-on for both Saints and Pelicans. So one of my craziest sports weeks is I flew to Phoenix for the NBA playoffs for the Suns Pelicans. Next day, I flew to Las Vegas for the NFL draft. I got to be the first person to welcome our first-round draft pick, Chris Olave, to the Saints. And then the next day, flew right back to Phoenix for the next playoff game. And I'm hands-on for all team access, everything, and just covering everything for both teams.
Is that a cool job? That sounds pretty cool. I think most people would love to have that kind of role. Without further ado, by the way, okay, can we just make a pause here for a moment? Because the big fella just walked in the room. Aaron Hook, it's your birthday today, correct?
Yeah.
Sean told everybody it's your birthday, so we just wanted to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you.
There you go. Do you have a question for John, by the way, Aaron?
Yeah, I do.
All right, go ahead. He wanted you to have the first question since it was your birthday.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I would ask, like, with working with the Saints and Pelicans, obviously, like, 2 different teams. They're all owned by the same group, right?
Mhm.
So, like, what are some of the differences? Obviously, different sports and different type of fan bases, but in terms of, like, content or that side of it, between, like, the Saints, it's more like week to week in the football season, and the Pelicans, like, what are the kind of differences there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Saints are kind of they're the older organization of the two. Pelicans are still fairly new. So the Saints are kind of run tight ship, kind of old school football team. They have a different GM, different president, different football operations, and a whole different PR staff, where Pelicans are a newer, younger team, still kind of building that identity, whole different GM, president, PR staff, all that. So for Saints side, we're a little more buttoned up, a little less access to the guys. Pelicans, we have full access. We do a full behind-the-scenes documentary series, which is what one of those Emmys was. So we do a whole behind-the-scenes look throughout the season with the Pelicans. Saints, it's kind of more tight-knit, limited access, but still like able to do things we want to do. But with the Pelican side, it's definitely a lot more open, more kind of you're part of the team.
All right. Who's next? Right here. Go ahead, Dave.
So I have a question more like on your background.
Mhm.
So obviously you started here, graduated around in 2014, you said in RTF. Now, could you walk us through like pretty much how you got, I mean, you don't have to give every single job that you may have had, but like how you've gotten from graduating college to getting to where you are now with the Pelicans?
Yeah, I always tell everyone, try to get as many internships as you can, try to get as much experience as you can while you're here. Just make yourself stand out if you can. That's something I tried to do. I interned with the Flyers when I was here, and I was pretty happy with that internship and that experience. And that kind of helped me get to where I am and my next step in my career, going to MLB in New York. And for me, it was just constantly creating content. That's what I wanted to do. So I created a website. I did a lot of content for local companies back home in Cape May Brewery Company, and different local businesses, help them kind of build their video market. Something I could use to show, like, hey, here's some of the content I'm creating on my own. And you just really got to make yourself stand out. And that's really how I kind of got a lot of these opportunities. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in high school. For a long time, I thought I was going to the Coast Guard. My dad's retired Coast Guard, so I thought I was following his footsteps. And then I loved math and science, so I thought I was going to be an electronic engineer. And then graduated, had no idea what to do, did ACCC for 2 years, fell in love with, I've done videos since I was 15 years old, and then fell in love with it, realized that there was a market with it, so just kind of jumped in head first here at Rowan with it, and just kind of went from there and just found a way to kind of break into different markets. A lot of people have connections are always good, but you don't always come out of college with any kind of connections, so you just got to make yourself stand out.
Very good. All right. Good, Dan.
What would you say is your biggest challenge while working with the Pelicans and with the Saints?
Having enough hours in the day is my biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is just time management, just kind of making sure we're executing everything on time. Sports is very fast-moving, fast-paced environment, so things can be outdated very quickly. So we just got to make sure we execute and create things in a timely fashion. So luckily our team's really good about that, and we have a management system for that. But I think with sports, it's just so fast-paced. You always have to be on your toes and ready to change up any kind of things going on. We had 2 rising stars in the game right before rising stars happened, or one of our rising stars tore his meniscus, so we had to quickly pivot a content plan. We had 2 videographers traveling to the rising stars tournament, but we ended up just scaling back, just doing 1 to follow one of our rising stars. So just got to always be mobile and be ready to change anything.
All right. Very good. Lee?
Is your staff like you? They work for both teams, or do you have 2 separate staffs?
All of us cover all the teams. Yeah.
So how do you, as the manager, that help to, give out projects and just manage everything going on, especially when the seasons overlap, at the start of the NBA season and all that?
Yeah, just priorities. We have a system that we use. We have a website that we delegate projects. Just figure out what's priority. Sponsorship content usually has most priority because that's our money making stuff. And then just kind of delegating from there. And everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, so kind of look for that in my staff, of what they're better at. Some are better storytellers, some are more creative, so kind of giving them projects like that.
I mean, it's pretty unique. Are there other teams that have this kind of dual role that you have, whether it's an NFL and NBA team or other teams?
It's very, very rare. I know one off the top of my head is the Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Sabres are both the same ownership group, and those usually overlap. But my job with NFL NBA is very unique and rare.
Yeah, I mean, like Harris Blitzer Sports owns, the Devils, they own the Sixers, they own now the Commanders, but I don't know of any kind of working together where they're in content development in that regard. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
So is it like double the workload for you, kind of? It's 2 different teams?
We're worried about you. We don't want you to be overworked, John. We're worried about you.
Well, yeah, it's kind of double the work, but we make do, and it's kind of a grind. It keeps you active, but I like being active, and I don't kind of like just sitting around waiting for the next season to start, so it's kind of nice to just keep busy.
So, All-Star break, NFL season, is this your normal, you got to decompress a little bit to gear up for the second half of the NBA season?
I was actually the other videographer going to the Rising Stars, so I got lucky and was able to take some time off to come back for a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hi, my name's Jordan. My question is, do you feel like more connected to the city of New Orleans, considering you're under both ownership groups of the 2 major sports that are there, and kind of geographically as well, closed off a lot from farther out cities, so do you feel more connected to the city?
I think for me, when I try to get into a city and a team, like the Carolina Panthers, when I joined them, the Devils was easy for me, even though I grew up a Flyers fan, but I'm from New Jersey, so I know Jersey. But for New Orleans, I try to research the city, kind of talk to people and get an idea of the city, because you got to really, when you get to a city that you don't really know and you're creating stuff for fans, you got to really relate to those fans and know what they connect with. So it's something you really got to do. Like one of my projects this year was the City Edition jersey. We have an all blacked out jersey with skeleton pelican on it. It was really cool. So I got to see that before anyone else. I signed an NDA with Nike and got the jersey and did my research. There's a Mardi Gras crew in New Orleans, one of the oldest Mardi Gras crews. They're Skull and Bone Gang. So I reached out to them, and then we took over a haunted house with Zion and Bi and the Skull and Bone Gang, and created this really cool video. So and that exploded with the local fan base. So
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Go ahead, Justin.
How important are the relationships with the players, and how do you know when to give them like their space in the locker room and all that?
yeah, it's super important. You get limited access to players sometimes, and when you do get the access, you don't want to overstep your boundaries or be kind of too much for them to handle, because then they won't want to work with you ever again. So you got to be a friendly face and just treat them like you would anyone else. And then 9 out of 10 times they're going to be the nicest people ever and be super into whatever you want to do. Kind of learn different things throughout the years. Just you kind of pick up things, and like one of the things I did this year with like the jersey reveal is I brought my Bluetooth speaker to the shoot because we didn't have any audio, and then just handed Bi my phone and said play music, and then he played some music and it got him into the zone, and you just kind of make those connections with the guys, and just it works out.
Commuting from Cape May, I'd say that's a risk you take with your job. I'm also from Cape May.
Oh, yeah.
So would you say that along your journey so far, you've had to risk a lot of like any other things that were important to your job?
Oh,
Or
for
just,
sure.
like, home life and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm born and raised Cape May, born and raised Jersey. I love Jersey, and like being far away from New Jersey it's kind of rough sometimes. Sometimes just with the seasons and everything, I can only visit home maybe once every 8 months or so. I don't get a lot of opportunities to go home, so that's tough. Holidays, I usually don't get to do any holidays or anything, so some usually have to give up, so it's tough. But I think if you really want to get into this and you really want to work in this kind of path, you got to give a lot of give and take, and that's something that kind of comes with it, but it all works out in the end, and I think eventually you can get somewhere. You might want to be closer or something.
Is there a dream out there, a dream job, or are you kind of doing it now? I mean, you're in a very unique position, but is there something that you're aspiring to do beyond what you're doing now?
Right now, I'm just kind of doing my thing. There are some things in the background I don't know if I can say on video, but I can maybe say after the video's over. But the goal right now is just to keep creating, just keep doing what I want to do, and just keep building on it. I really like teaching, and I really like building up my team. I've been able to promote two of my guys who started as production assistants and brought them up, and just like really helping bestow my knowledge on the people and grow, and then help create cool content and just keep doing it.
Did you ever aspire to work at films, at NFL Films? I mean, you're a Jersey guy; it's right here. Did you ever aspire to do that?
Yeah. I tried to get an internship there. Just timing and stuff just didn't pan out. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Let's go in the back here. Go ahead.
Who's your favorite athlete to work with?
Oh, favorite athlete to work with.
Did you work with Drew Brees at all?
I have worked with Drew. Yeah.
Okay.
Drew's pretty cool.
You mentioned Zion, Drew. I'm thinking of
Zion's
some
awesome.
pretty large names that are in
Yeah,
the
I
New
mean,
Orleans market.
they're all pretty good. Right now, probably my favorite. Larry Nance Jr. is pretty awesome. He's fun, just normal guy. He's, good time to just talk to. You know, he's been around the league for a while, so it's fun just to talk to him about some of the things. He played with Kobe, he played with LeBron, like all these huge names, and it's kind of fun just to talk to him about some of those pasts and all.
Cool. All right. Go ahead, Jason.
Hi. I wanted to ask you, how do you, and I know that this is probably a little bit more of a generic question, but how do you like find structure, like when it comes to just like your position and just like your personal life? Because I know like people that, you know, in the business sometimes it's a little bit tough for them to just manage like their work and then their personal stuff. Get an idea as to how to
Yeah, I think with this career, that's kind of always, you talk to anyone, you talk to people in my department especially, that's always something that's going to be tough because like I travel a good bit, so being away from home, being away from family, that's tough. And then just the long. Sometimes you do long hours. You got a tight deadline or something, so that's something that just comes with it. But you just find ways. If you're in an organization that really appreciates you and your time, then the organization will help take care of you and help find ways to give you some time. With the New Jersey Devils, we had unlimited PTO. Once the off season hit, we were pretty much nowhere to be found in the office for at least a couple weeks, month. So that was really nice, that organization. Saints, Pelicans, it's tough just because of the overlapping seasons, but usually they give us like 2 weeks, just kind of get out of the office, just take a breather, kind of try to get reset.
You get back to the shore in the summer? You do have a little window there.
I try. My birthday is Memorial Day weekend, so I try to come back for Memorial Day weekend for a week.
All right, nice. Okay, right here. Go ahead.
What's the process of creating content that like other teams are creating, like really aside the Saints and the Pelicans? I feel like a lot of teams kind of are doing similar things. So how's like the brainstorming?
Yeah, just really staying connected to other teams and what they're doing. Just kind of keeping an eye out like not even just NFL or NBA, looking outside of that as well, and just seeing what they're doing. The big thing every year for both teams is a schedule release, and I always feel like you can create this really cool schedule release and then comes out and it's like, oh, 3 other teams did the same exact thing. So it's always tough to try to find a way to be unique in that aspect. But I think we do a really great job of it on the Pelicans side. We try to really lean into the Pelicans are kind of a young team, kind of quirky things we have this year for the schedule release. We didn't even put out a schedule. We just got we got the guy who played Urkel in because he looks like CJ McCollum, and we just made a video of just Urkel pretending to be CJ and like going through CJ's schedule. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's a good one. Definitely check that out. But like we were just like, let's just not even do an actual schedule release this year and just have fun with it and kind of lean into the meme. And it went super viral, so it was pretty awesome.
That's a pretty clever idea. Yeah. All right. Let's go, Sam.
So back to your point, you were talking about the draft. How do you make content with the draft each year? Because sometimes the Saints have a top 15 pick, sometimes they don't have a first round pick, and sometimes they have a top 20 pick.
It's crazy. Working the NFL draft is nuts because you're just like staring at this. There's this big kind of green room you're in the back with. You have your gear ready, just kind of run. There's an area where you meet the player, take them to like a little media gauntlet you do to introduce them to the team, and then you just never know what's going to happen. The Saints kind of always trade and everything, so we're just kind of like almost like stretching, like ready for a marathon, like ready to go. There's a big TV screen that's ahead of everything on TV's a delay, but we get the real time stuff. And then we have a PR guy too that'll be like, hey, we're trading or something. We usually get a little bit of a heads up too, but kind of creating that content's a little crazy because you just never know what's going to happen. Luckily, 2 years ago, we ended up trading in the draft, and we picked another first rounder, Trevor Penning, but he wasn't there. So because we were running around with Chris Olave, so that was kind of crazy because we're like, oh man, we're gonna have to like find this guy and try to do two places at once. But luckily, it didn't happen. But it's a thing that can happen. You just gotta try to a lot of running and gunning kind of stuff. A lot of sports is just kind of just being ready for whatever's gonna happen, just kind of reacting to it.
I think one of the things that everybody here in this room would probably agree, it's just really cool. If you work for, this is the perception, if you work for a professional franchise, you're in the know with what's going on, okay? How much are you in the know in your capacity?
For me, I usually know a little more just because I'm in a management level role, and then it usually trickles down from there. Usually I'll get kind of notice of what's going on, and then I'll let my guys know, especially if they're traveling with the team. Let them know, hey, like this is happening tonight or something, and if we have a trade coming up, if someone's hurt, something like that. For the Pelicans, we actually have an app, and then our head PR rep will message us in that app and give us a heads up of what's going on. So, is
that a cool part of the job?
Yeah, it's cool. It's neat to be able to be such a sports fan and just see how everything works. Kind of get that experience and just kind of be in the know and be like, hey, I have that access, something I never thought I'd ever have. So it's pretty cool.
Just out of curiosity, when you're shooting your own stuff, what's your primary choice of camera?
Right now we use this full Sony cinema line. So we use FX9, FX6, FX3. I've been loving the FX3. It's like a small DSLR type body. It can take stills if you need it, but we don't really do much stills. We have a team photographer. But it can shoot 4K, 120 frames per second with audio, which is pretty good to have. And we do a lot of our footage in 4K, 120. And we leave the audio on in case there's a crazy moment or anything like that.
Who or what inspired you to go down this career path?
Who or what? I guess just my love for sports. It was kind of me. I didn't even know it really was a thing until I really got looking into it. When I broke into it, it was still growing. Social media was still growing. Well, it wasn't really as big as it's not anything it is today. And I remember joining teams, and they were still trying to figure out what they want to do about social media and having one person tweeting and all that. It wasn't really as big as it is now, where we have a whole team dedicated to social media. Now we have 6 people that are just social media and doing everything in the book. We have one of our coordinators is just TikTok. And they just make TikToks all day. So it's kind of crazy to see. But I guess kind of me, just I had a great support system growing up, and it was pretty awesome to have them. Hey, I want to be in the Coast Guard. Okay. Hey, I want to be an engineer. Okay. Hey, I want to do video. All right, let's see what we can do with that. So,
social media has really, it wasn't what it is today when you got into business 10 years ago. When did you notice, you mentioned TikTok, one person now dedicated to TikTok, and that's not unusual, that's common now.
Mhm.
When did you notice the major transformation into social media?
I'd say probably a couple of years in, you really saw that.
A couple years in for you.
For me,
so about 8 years ago.
About 8 years ago, really starting out, teams really lean more into their in-arena content, their show content. When you go to a game, see stuff on the video board, and a lot of teams kind of built their stuff around that. And then slowly, social media took more of a priority. So then, social media, the people that are making the stuff for the video boards slowly started coming out of that and doing stuff for social media. And kind of just exploded, and now there's whole teams just dedicated to social media. We have my team just does the social media, but then we have 4 other content creators that are just for our in-arena content.
They all want to know about jobs, internships, right? What you're doing is a growing field,
Mhm.
right? Parents always ask me, are there jobs? Newspapers are dying, blah, blah, blah. But now it's in social media. So what can you share with the students about the future of this part of the business?
Yeah, I think don't get stuck on one thing. Try to get your hands on everything. A little bit of graphic design, a little bit of photography, a little bit of video. Absolutely, if you love video, I'm all in on video, and if that's what you 100% want to do that. But also be open to some other things. If you want to do social media, right now you got to know a little bit of everything. A lot of our social media team, most of them, she's a full-blown photographer for the team. But she also tweets, does all the posts. She'll make some TikToks every now and then. She'll do some video editing, some light graphic design, stuff like that. So people in social media kind of do a little bit of everything. So if you have those tools and can show them, hey, I have all these skills, then that makes you really unique and really interesting to hire.
Cool. All right. Who's next? Go ahead, Connor.
What would you say was your favorite moment about your job?
Favorite moment? I've had a lot. They've been pretty great. I think one of my first moments that really was oh man, I'm here. When I entered the Flyers, I was on the press row, and then they brought the Rangers injured reserves over, and they sat right next to me. And it was Henrik Lundqvist sat right next to me, and I played goalie, and was oh my gosh, that's Henrik Lundqvist, and I didn't realize I said it out loud. And he's turned, he's hi, I'm Henrik Lundqvist, and I think that was the first moment that I really was all right, this is cool, this is a thing, I'm here, so I think that was one of my all-time favorite moments.
That's a good story. I like that. Go ahead, Pete.
Do you have any advice specifically for people that social media
NHL? Yeah. NHL, I will say, is probably the most fun league I had my experiences in. NHL is quirky and fun. It's it's been around for a while, but I feel like it's always constantly growing. And I think just being tuned in with other teams and just kind of having an idea of seeing what other teams do. Everyone has their own identity, and just kind of following along with that. And then just kind of having a lot of skills that kind of go with that. I know with the NHL, with the Devils team, our Devils staff, they did a lot of photography, a little bit of video editing, some graphic design, light graphic design, stuff like that. So kind of having those skills and just being able to create fun little captions, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, whatever, I think that just makes you unique for that.
You know Jon Lavengetto?
Yeah.
So he was a speaker here at Pizza with the Pros. So if you haven't, Jon Lavengetto is vice president, I think, of the NHL for game presentation. So anything in the bowl of the building, John oversees for the National Hockey League. So Winter Classic, All-Star Game, Stanley Cup Final, anything in the bowl he does.
The Stadium Series.
Stadium Series, he'll do that as well. But he's probably around he might be a little older. He's a little older.
He actually used to work for the Devils. He left right before I got there, but I knew him a lot from just like different games we did.
Yeah, but a Rowan grad. There you go. See that? All right. Who's next? Where are we going? Go ahead.
What was your favorite game you've been a part of with this job?
It's probably a tie, and they're both kind of similar situations. The Devils, Taylor Hall, he scored, sent us to the playoffs, and it was the first time the Devils went to the playoffs in a while. They were last for a long time, and it was a pretty cool moment. I remember celebrating that with the team, and it was pretty cool, fun time. All the guys are excited, staff are excited. And then kind of a similar thing with the Pelicans. When we made the playoffs to play against Phoenix, we just had this crazy path where we had to win 3 playing games in a row to make it, and Pelicans were not favored in any way against any of the teams, and they pulled it off, and it was a pretty cool moment for the city, just the city to come alive for that.
Pretty cool. Yep, go Jordan.
For someone who loves ice hockey so much, and you consider yourself within the city of New Orleans, do you think with the NHL always expanding open to new teams that New Orleans would be a hub for hockey, and would they be welcoming for that?
No.
No?
New Orleans doesn't know what hockey is, unfortunately. I'll see people out with a hockey jersey. I'm like, oh, I like your jersey. I'm like, are you a fan? I'm like, oh, I just think it looks cool. Like, I don't even know what it is. So, New Orleans is not a hockey town by any means. There's a few people here and there. They used to, back in the day, have a ECHL team, the New Orleans Brass, which was pretty cool. But the Pelicans kicked them out, and then they haven't had any kind of hockey anywhere. There's no hockey in the state of Louisiana. There's no ice rinks, no nothing. So.
Really? No ice rinks in Louisiana?
Maybe in northern Louisiana, but I've searched because I've wanted to go ice skating or play some pickup games, and that's just not a thing. I have to go to Texas for it.
Wow. How about that? All right. Go ahead. Hey,
How
Rob.
do you handle difficult situations? For example, the no-call pass interference years ago against the Rams. Like, how do you go about posting content after something like that?
Luckily, I wasn't there for that because there are people that were there for that, and they said how terrible it was, and I luckily didn't have to deal with any kind of calls like that. There have been some calls that have been tough, both Pelicans and Saints side. I think you just have to kind of, our social team will post that, kind of delegate. We'll capture it and send it to them and be like, hey, here it is if you guys want to post it. But then usually our social team, we have a director of social media that'll make the final call on if he wants to post it. Sometimes if it's something terrible to end the game, but there was a really good play right before it, we'll kind of sit on that play and then maybe post the next day, like, hey, fans, like, it's kind of, the ending wasn't great, but here's this awesome play by one of the guys. So.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Makes me think, were you in attendance for the Minneapolis Miracle?
I was not. I wasn't there yet.
Okay.
And also glad I wasn't there for that one.
All right. Go ahead.
Would you like to work for an NHL team or for the Flyers or for the Devils again if you could have the same position?
Yeah, I'm open to going back to the NHL. Always loved the idea of joining the NFL. The NFL, I always tell everyone, always make yourself unique, make yourself stand out. The Panthers called me about a job, so I actually had an opportunity to go to Carolina. Fortunately, the job just wasn't for me. It was a lot of in-arena control room stuff. I'm more on the field, hands-on, videography, editing, stuff like that. And it just wasn't a fit for me, and I don't think it was going to be the right path for my career. So I had the opportunity to go to New Orleans. But the NFL was always interesting to me because NHL is great, but the NFL is just that big, like kind of big-time league. It just like it always, when you're looking out from outside of it, you're just wow, that just looks so fun. So, yeah.
All right. Speaking of spectacle. All right. We got these two elephants in the room here. So let's talk about these. Talk about here. We're going to let you guys take a look at these later on, but talk about what went into winning those and what did it mean to win those?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been nominated with the Devils, and I've been nominated with the Saints and the Pelicans, and then to actually win them is just crazy. It's when I found out it was a possibility that you could be in sports and win Emmys, like it was nothing I ever thought of. I was just in it for fun, just to be able to be in sports making videos, and then to actually like be like, oh, I can actually be nominated for them. That's crazy. Never thought I'd actually win any, but I got really lucky this year. We made some good stuff. And then again, it all goes back to like my sort of support system, amazing parents, amazing girlfriend, and followed me through everything, and they just helped me out for everything. And this one I was really proud of. This is an individual achievement for best sports editor. For that, you submit a compilation of 5 of your favorite videos you made that year, and ended up getting the win for that. So I was pretty proud of that one. Previously been nominated in it, but I've never actually won it. So that was pretty awesome. Just kind of it's kind of a like a kind of pat on the back, like kind of a like, yeah, all that crazy work you did, moving around different cities, driving all the way to Manhattan and stuff, like it was all worth it. You're doing something good. And then this one was special as well because this is a team win. So me and my team won this one. We got 5. Each person that was on the project got an Emmy, so it was pretty cool. But this is for our documentary series about the Pelicans, so that's pretty cool. And the Pelicans themselves are really excited about it, and they invited us to practice and said congrats and everything, so that's pretty cool.
So let's talk about the documentary. Give them a sense of the time commitment, the amount of footage that you're going through, and the end product of how long it was and all that.
Yeah, so we've been experimenting a lot lately with this project. Last year, episodes would be 25 minutes or more. This year, we've really scaled it back to make it more digestible because content is kind of evolving, and long-form content is kind of going to the wind. It's more shorter attention spans, social media, everything's fast-paced, so we've been making it a little more digestible. But this year, they've been 15 to 25 minutes max, and that's just little things like everything behind-the-scenes stuff. Zion hosted an event at a local sneaker store in New Orleans. He came out with a new signature shoe. He surprised 2 schools, their JV and varsity basketball teams with basketball shoes. He loaded them up with gear and everything, so they were good for the season. And then he also surprised Pelicans fans with shoes as well. So we do stuff like that. A lot of our guys are really active in the community, doing different initiatives and giving. So we follow that, put that in series to just show like what the guys are doing off the court. And then we do a lot of stuff on the court. If the guys are having a crazy game. This year, our rookie Jordan Hawkins has been really good. So kind of showing his story and kind of showing what he's been going through this season. He got sent to the G League for a game, just to kind of, it was just a team move, just kind of just kind of get him. He was hit a little slump, so I think it was just kind of wake him up a little bit, but just kind of have him talk about that and what that was to be a first round pick, and then have to go to G League and then come back up, and just he set a rookie record the next game.
All right. So afterwards, if you want to take a look at one of these, you're more than welcome. Who else has the next question for John? Who's going next? In the back. Go ahead, Leah.
What's like a mistake that you made in your career? What did you learn from it?
Mistake. There's a lot of stuff you do, you just kind of learn and grow from. I don't have any big time mistakes. I mean, maybe losing track of a project. You read maybe a deadline wrong and you thought you had a little more time on it, and then turns out that it wasn't. It was due like last week, and kind of scrambling and working with department, whoever is the end person for that. Usually that's a sponsored piece. Sometimes that happens. But most of the times it's little mistakes you make. It's just stuff you learn from and just really grow from. And you just got to take all that stuff and just kind of grow with that opportunity.
All right. I'll go ahead, Debbie.
So you mentioned like how Zion went out in the community and was giving out shoes to gear, and you also, with other players, go out to schools or so. Is that something that is directed by you guys, that you guys go to the athletes and say, hey, we have this idea of you doing this, or is that something that's really the athletes doing, and that's something that you kind of just follow along?
That's 100% the athletes. The athletes give all on their own, and then they just invite us to come with them, and then we just capture behind-the-scenes content for it. But yeah, it's all those guys, all their own money. Like, we don't do anything. We don't tell them to do anything, and they just give a lot to the community.
Some players want attention. Some players don't want attention when they do that.
Yep.
Do you ever have to convince them, well, this might be beneficial for the team, for you, if you allow us to shoot?
Yeah, for sure. CJ every year, just a thanks to the business staff, he'll buy 5 We'll rent out 5 food trucks and have them come to the office, and then just have this whole big lunch for all of the Pelican staff. And we try to shoot it to show like, hey, he's doing this awesome thing for the staff, and he never lets us actually do it because he's like, I don't want the attention on that at all. He's like, you guys follow me in the community, and he's like, I love what you guys do, and I appreciate you guys, but I just want this to be something kind of between us.
So you didn't shoot it?
Nope, didn't shoot that one.
Didn't shoot it. Okay. All right. Who's next? Go ahead, Seth.
If you were a college student now, would you focus on getting good at like 3, 4, 5 things, or great at 1 or 2 things?
Oh, that's a good one. Ooh, that's a really good one.
That's a great question.
I think if social media was what it was today, when I was in college, and like how it's exploding, I probably would have leaned a little more on the social media side and would probably have tried to be really good at a couple different skills. I tried while I was here to be good at different things. I didn't want to be just a shooter, just an editor, or anything like that. So I really tried to dabble with motion graphics, dabble with shooting, dabble with editing. So I tried to do a little bit of everything. So I think it would probably be kind of similar here, but I would probably expand out a little more and kind of do more social media stuff.
Great question. Go ahead, Lee.
What kind of collaboration do you have with the people making content for game presentation or for broadcast, or if it's a national broadcast, working with, ABC, ESPN, one of the places?
Yeah. National broadcasts we usually don't create any content for, but we do give them content. A lot of times they'll reach out to us. A lot of times they'll ask us for stuff from the squad. They'll take segments from the squad and put that in the broadcast, and we'll give them footage or give them highlights and things. But for our regional broadcast, kind of the same thing. We'll do that. But for in arena, we'll create a hype video for the Saints for social media, and sometimes it plays really well. So then we'll play it in the arena as well. And then sometimes there's something in the arena that they made that's really cool, and we might want to put it on social as well. So it's pretty hands-on.
Go ahead.
What can the NHL and the MLB do to sort of reach more people with content and the NFL and NBA? They're getting so more about those.
Yeah, I think MLB is just such a long season. I think it's hard to really keep everyone locked in for that long. NFL is short and just easy, quick. So, and then NBA, there's a lot of games, a lot of quick games, and I feel like even though it's a longer season, it's kind of quick and easier to follow. NHL, I think it's just something that people are trying to it's a growing sport. It's a sport that people are really locking into. And I think they're doing a really good job of trying to get better at really bringing in new audiences and things. But I think just there's only so many things you can do. Just kind of keep creating good content and just trying to just really stay tuned to the fan bases and things. I think MLB has a lot of blackouts and things, and that kind of doesn't allow you to really watch games from anywhere. I don't get Phillies games, unfortunately, which is terrible, but it's something I kind of have to deal with.
All right, Sean.
What do you think about the pitch clock?
Pitch clock.
The pitch clock?
You did anything? Well, you did. Major League Baseball. What would you do in Major League? Because it's on your experience. Where in baseball have you worked?
I worked at the headquarters.
Headquarters, MLB.
And we actually,
but no team.
Yeah, just
no team. Okay.
Just the league.
Okay.
And they actually were just starting to experiment with the pitch clock in minor league baseball, just kind of doing some testing and seeing some things about pitching violations. But I think it sped up the game, and I think it's not terrible. I think some instances are a little crazy, but I think it's not too bad.
Your task when you were at MLB was what?
I did social media content, short form videos, some highlights.
So there was some editing and video involved.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Who's next? Where are we going? All right, right there.
So do you have any specific routines to seek creative inspiration for what you do, like the haunted house video that you made for the uniforms? Like, does that idea just dawn upon you, or you just hammer away in the studio, we gotta brainstorm some ideas here? How do you go about it? Just do stuff all the time. It's gotta be exhausting at one point in time or another.
Yeah, you get a little burned out trying to create something new. The Saint side, we make a new hype video every week. So every single week we have to come up with a brand new hype video, and that gets a little exhausting every week, especially if the game before that they only scored 3 field goals and you don't really know how to spin that. So that gets a little crazy. But I'm having Atlanta nightmares, flashbacks, but yeah, that was brutal. And that game, Ludacris came out from the ceiling, so that was like the only highlight we had really. But yeah, I mean, it gets a little exhausting, but it's just something I try to keep my eye open to every league, all different teams. I mean, I grew up like an Eagles fan. My dad's from Pittsburgh, so I also follow Steelers, but Phillies, Flyers, all those guys. But I always try to stay out of that and kind of follow teams, even rivals per se, and just see what everyone else is doing and just kind of come up with fresh ideas. For the haunted house, that's kind of an example of kind of being on your feet and being open to other things, because we originally were supposed to be in a New Orleans cemetery because like those are iconic and very scenic. We worked with the city, and they forgot that the day we booked was All Saints Day, and they shut everything down. So they called us real quick the 2 days before it, and we're like, oh yeah, we forgot we're closed that day. So we had to quickly pivot, and I found a haunted house in the city, talked to them. Where we shot it was actually a vampire wedding chapel. So I had to walk around with a drill and pull these vampires off the wall before BI and Zion got there, and move some stuff around to make it a little more cool. But that's just one of those things you just kind of come up with an idea and just kind of quickly got to pivot to something else. And for me, that idea, the uniform just kind of really spoke to me. It's all black, it's skeleton, it's kind of spooky, city's kind of spooky, so just kind of leaned in on that.
Your fandom, you mentioned how you grew up Flyer fan, Eagle fan.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to them how things change when you work for an organization? Where does your fandom go?
Yeah, you kind of put things aside. I grew up a Flyers fan, so work for the Devils is a little crazy for me. I remember making the anniversary video for the 2000 Stanley Cup, and that series was the one where the Flyers blew 3-0 lead, and Patrick Elias scored the winning goal to move on past the Flyers, and that goal happened on my birthday, and it ruined my 10th birthday. And here I am a couple years later making a ceremony video that got like Emmy nominated. So I was pretty proud of it, but at the same time I'm editing this video like, man, this is like full circle crazy moment right now. So, but you kind of just put it to the side. Most teams you work with, all the athletes are like just some of the best humans you'll work with, and they just make it super easy just to root for the team.
Couple more questions. Go Jordan.
Was you and your team able to do anything with the Alvin Kamara Christmas game where he scored like 6 touchdowns? Like anything special there?
That was right before I got there, but they did do some fun stuff with that. And then it was funny because the NFL fined him for the cleats, but then asked him to send them to the Football Hall of Fame. So we still have like some fun with that joke and some tweets and stuff. We make some snarky tweets about that every now and then.
All right, Seth.
When you're creating a video for either New Orleans team, do you treat it like you're creating a video for Pelicans fans, Saints fans, or New Orleans fans, or what goes into who you're creating the video for?
Definitely. When you get to a city and you're creating for teams, you definitely want to know what the fan base likes and wants. And if you kind of have an idea of what they like, then it makes your content creation easier, because like, all right, they're gonna hate this or they're gonna love this. You can throw in some little snarky jokes here and there, like little things that maybe the fans will only get, and it'll go a long way. Like especially if you don't always want to read the comments. Sometimes the comments are terrible, especially when the team's terrible and Derek Carr can't score in the red zone. But sometimes you'll read the comments and they're like, man, they nailed this. Like if only the team could be as good as this. We had most of their comments this year was, if only the Saints could be as good as our media team, and that helps you kind of do your job. So.
All right, who's got a quick? Go ahead, Justin.
You mentioned having like creative burnout. What keeps you motivated to keep creating better content each and every week?
For me, it's the team around me. I try to lead by example, and if I'm burnt out and I'm just kind of not doing everything I should be doing to the fullest, I think it might show to my guys, and my guys might start taking on that and start slacking a little bit. So I try to lead by example on that. Sometimes I'll just take a breather, kind of just take a step back. And like I said, for me, this is what I love to do. Like it's sometimes hard to call it a job. So there is sometimes some burnout just trying to create new things, but just really taking everything into perspective and saying, you get to do this for a job. I get to go to the Superdome on Sundays and just walk in with a team and hang out with the other guys and get some footage of the game and everything like that. It's sometimes you got to take a step back and just take it all in.
What's the final thing you want to say to the students about coming back and words of wisdom that you might want to give to these guys?
Yeah, it's crazy to just be here and be able to talk to you guys. I always appreciate any time I get a chance to talk to people about stuff going on. I'm always open to talking about stuff. Don't ever, if you guys probably saw my social media, don't ever hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. But I always try to bestow on everyone, just always be active. If you really want this, just make sure you make yourself stand out. That's kind of how I broke into this. I didn't have connections. A lot of people kind of in this market will have connections that they can lean on. But if you just keep working and keep having a good work ethic and make yourself stand out, people will notice you and people will hire you.
Let's give a round of applause. Next week, Spike Eskin. Spike is program director for WFAN, but he will be leaving WFAN any day now because he's taking over the afternoon drive time co-host position at Sports Radio WIP in Philadelphia. But Spike will be here to talk about being vice president of programming for WFAN and CBS Radio. That'll be next Monday. John will be here. You know what? We're going to also have to get a nice shot of this too. So we'll get that as well. So if you want to picture with that. But thank you, everybody. We'll